10, don't skim over this lesson thinking that it's not important. Dividing by 10 creeps into many sections in mathematics, so if you don't know it well, other sections become more difficult than they need to be. There's a really simple pattern to follow when dividing by 10, and it's similar to the pattern used for dividing by 100 and by 1,000, so we're going to cover those skills in this lesson too. I'm going to use the clock again to help us visualize the patterns. Let's go and see how it works. There's a really lovely pattern that emerges when we divide numbers that end in 0 by 10. And if we look at our clock, we're going to try and discover what it is that happens. I'm going to read a few examples out. Let's see if you can figure it out. 30 divided by 10 is 3. 60 divided by 10 is 6. 80 divided by 10 is 8. 100 divided by 10 is 10. Can you see what happened to every single number that was divided by 10? One of its zeros fell away. So if we think of a quick trick that we can write down of what happens when we divide numbers by 10, we can simply write cancel 1 0. Now remember, that happens to all numbers that end in a 0. So let's look at these big ones at the bottom here. 420 divided by 10. One of the zeros falls away, so our answer will be 42. If we've got 800 divided by 10, only one of its zeros is going to fall away, so our answer will be 80. There's a very similar pattern when we divide numbers by 100, so let's quickly go and look at those. This time, if you look at our clock, you can see all our numbers end with 2 zeros or more. So when we divide them by 100, 2 of their zeros are going to fall away. So for example, 500 divided by 100 is 5. Both of its zeros fell away. If you look at 1,000 divided by 100, 2 of its zeros fell away. It still has 1 zero left. So now when we write our little quick trick for dividing by 100, we can write it as cancel 2 zeros. Remember, this applies to big numbers as well. If the number ends with a minimum of 2 zeros, 2 of its zeros are going to fall off if we divide it by 100. So 3,800 divided by 100 is 38. Both of its zeros fell away. 5,000 divided by 100, 2 of its zeros are going to fall away. So the answer is going to be 50. Now a very similar pattern happens when we divide numbers by 1,000. So let's quickly look at those. This time, as I'm sure you've guessed, if we divide numbers that end in 3 zeros or more by 1,000, 3 of the zeros are going to fall away. So if we want to write our trick, we would say cancel 3 zeros. So if we look at these big numbers at the bottom, 21,000 divided by 1,000, 3 of its zeros are going to fall away. So the answer will be 21. 90,000 divided by 1,000, 3 of its zeros are going to fall away. So the answer is 90. Now that you've seen the pattern that happens when we divide numbers by either 10 or 100 or 1,000, it's time to give you a set to try to see if you can put this into practice. You can see there's a mix of sums here. They're all muddled up, so it's good practice. Be careful, read them carefully so that you cancel the correct amount of zeros. What you're going to do, you're going to pause the video, work these answers out, and then come back to the video to see if you got them correct. Let's check those answers. Keep practicing this. Like I said earlier, these skills are going to creep into many areas of the subject. Once you feel confident with dividing by 10, 100, and 1,000, join me in the lesson on multiplying by 11. I'll see you there. This lesson comes from the Tables Training That Packs a Punch series. The full series with practice exercises and bonuses is available from aligerous.online. Click the link in the description below.